Greetings. Before I get into this video, I want to pay homage to the ancestors, the Natiru, the Anunnaki, and all the higher creative beings. Imhotep, everybody. I'm doing this video on a very important topic, very controversial topic. Many people talk about this topic in relationship to the entertainment industry. I want to help to educate people on exactly what blood sacrifice is in relationship to the occult. I want to help people to understand how it is working. Is it being practiced in the music industry? These are the things that we'll be dealing with here. Now, blood sacrifice is something that is a very old ritual. You have animal blood sacrifices. You even have some cultures that dealt with human blood sacrifice. And the concept of blood sacrifice came from the reptilian civilizations. And when these reptilians would interact with humans, once humans were created, because reptilians were on this planet before humans were created, and they dealt with blood sacrifice even then, they would sacrifice their own. But when humans were created, they began to, since they were more advanced and they were more technologically skilled than humans, they were able to trick and dupe humans into giving over their virgin daughters, virgin sons over to these reptilians as blood sacrifices. These reptilians, what they do is that they feed off of the adrenaline that takes place during the blood sacrifice. They get high off of it like a drug. They can also use the body of the blood sacrifice victim, her flesh, to eat and things of this nature. And this is something that's very real. This is something that if you go over into West Africa and then deal with the African shamans, they will tell you that there are beings in the bush, they call it, that deal with ritual sacrifice, and these are a group of beings that are not human. According to the Dogon, these reptilians would come out of the waters and they would teach humans certain things about astrology and certain things about civilization, but more than that is they would trick humans into, since they were superior and had more knowledge, they would tell them that they had to make an offering to them in order for them to teach them X, Y, and Z, or in order for them to give them X, Y, and Z. And humans, in their dumb state, were giving over their children to this group of beings, these reptilians. Now, there are, when you deal in the school of Ifa, and when you get into some of the voodoo culture, blood sacrifice is definitely a part of that culture. Now, I'm not going to go deep into it here because a lot of this information on blood sacrifice is for the initiates only. What I will say is this. Blood sacrifice, as far as giving over even animals, let's just talk about animals for a minute, and then we'll go into the higher aspects of it. Say, for instance, if you give over an animal as a blood sacrifice, meaning that you go out and you murder an animal a certain kind of way, you put it on an altar, and you do a ritual to attract a certain entity that needs the blood as energy in order for it to give you what you want from it, as far as its magic, because different spiritual entities provide different benefits that you wouldn't have normally been able to get had you not done this blood sacrifice or had you not had this energy to give. And I'm going to explain something really interesting here, like once I finish this. But had you not had this animal to give, and you would not have been able to attract this entity, because a lot of entities are attracted to blood, and even though they're spiritual entities that you cannot see, they're very real. The shamans and those that are in tune with the unseen world or the spiritual world know that there are entities that are not seen but are very much attracted to the blood of animals. Ogun, for instance. Ogun is very warlike deity, kind of similar to Set or Satuk. And Ogun actually is a counterpart of Set or Satuk, but it's on a different level because he's in the voodoo school, or the school of Ifa or Yoruba. And when you deal with Ogun, he's a warlike deity. And a lot of times, if you make a pact with him, and you say, for instance, you made a pact with Ogun, or that might be your ancestor or your Orisha that you deal with, whether you know this or not. And if you're not giving him what he wants, because different entities like different things, and a lot of people know that Ogun a lot of times likes blood. A lot of times he likes blood. So if you're not giving him that blood, he may turn around and kill one of your ancestors, or kill one of your family members. I'm sorry. So this is where they get the concept of blood sacrifice, as far as offering up family members. One of the reasons, like, this is many levels to it. Like I said, I'm just surface dwelling here because this is really something that initiates deal with only. So I'm just giving out tidbits of information, but it will help you to understand. So yeah, he may come and kill one of your ancestors, especially if he's your Orisha and you already have established a bond and a pact with him, and you made a pact. What a pact is like, you make a pact with an entity, especially those that aren't really spiritual. So you see, a lot of people, they get into this Ifa and stuff like that, and they're going through a Babalao or somebody like that. And basically, depending on the knowledge of the Babalao, depends on how this entity is going to deal with you. So if a Babalao consults Ogun on your behalf, and you basically form an allegiance and a pact and an alliance with him, and a lot of people don't know how to close off alliances. So you want him to do a certain thing, he did it for you, but then now he wants more. It doesn't stop. He's never going to stop. You know what I'm saying? He's going to always ask for more and more and more and more and more. And that's what happens. Like, yeah, he may have gave you what you wanted, but then now he wants more. So the thing that you have to learn how to do is how to close off doors and portals. And some Babalaos, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, what they teach them or whatever, different Babalaos and different systems or whatever. So I don't know, you know what I'm saying, some Babalaos may know how to close off doors, some may not. But you need to do some research and talk to your Babalao. See, a lot of times people just go run and go get a Babalao, don't know enough about the system of the culture, and you know what I'm saying, and they want to deal with these Babalaos on different levels, but they don't know exactly how to go about asking the Babalao the right questions to learn as to whether or not how spiritually astute he is or she is in the system that they're dealing with. Because they should be able to open up, form pacts and allegiances with certain beings and then close them off. And then they should also know that there's alternatives to the blood sacrifice, which I'll go into at the end of part of this video. So that's basically the premise of it. A lot of spiritual, high, strong, these are like very powerful entities now. And I mean, anybody that's dealt with these entities will know this is not no pity pat game or whatever where you just offer some incense up. These aren't those kind of entities. These entities are strong. They offer a lot of power, and they serve a purpose. They serve a purpose for those that are into the darker arts and things of that nature. And you just got to know how to work with them. You know what I'm saying? You got to know how to work with them, and you got to know how to work with the light entities and the dark entities. And a lot of people, that's what I'm saying, they don't know. They don't know. A lot of people, they're stuck in one system too. So they kind of like, you have rules in Ifa, right? But then the Babalaos in Ifa might not ever study and get into the Mayan system, or they might not study or get into astrology and learn about the systems of astrology that deal with rituals and how to attract energy through astrology and through the zodiac. So they don't know anything about that. They might just only know their system of Ifa, and in Ifa they have a system of divination and all that. So they only know that school, period. They might not know about the Wiccan deities or the Celtic deities, or, you know what I'm saying, or the Hindu deities, you know, of South India or whatever, the Egyptian deities and the system of the ancient Egyptians, the Sumerian deities. A lot of people don't know about the Sumerian deities. They think about Enki, Enlil, and Ninti and all of them. I'm talking about some other deities of Sumeria. And a lot of people don't know about these deities or whatever. Deities that you probably never heard of. Ben Baskim. I mean, deities like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't know about those type of deities. Probably never heard of that type of stuff. So the thing is that they don't know how to put together different systems from different schools. So basically, so when they begin to work with, say for instance, you work with Ogun, you got to know, basically, if you got allegiances and you gathered information from other schools, you'll learn how to work with Ogun, and you can master Ogun, because Ogun should not be your master. Because as a magician, you learn how to master Ogun, and you use him for what you need him for. And then you close the portal off and the gate off. And if you want to decide you want to work with him again, you work with him again. You want to work with Shango, you work with Shango. You want to close that portal off, you close that portal off. Just depending on, you know what I'm saying, what you want to do and how you want to deal with it. And a lot of people don't know, like I said, how to deal in all the systems, because there are other magical systems besides just the Ifa system. And you know, people are just one-dimensional. They only want to deal on one level because that's a cultural thing. They may have been raised in the Ifa culture, the Yoruba culture, and this is what they choose to deal with. And this is very important when it comes to blood sacrifice. Keep in mind, I know we're talking blood sacrifice. So, yeah, so you got the offering of the animals. Now, those of you that have got into a lot of Aleister Crowley's information and different magicians like him, especially him, he's the one that's really famous for this blood sacrifice that they're dealing with in the entertainment industry. It's Aleister Crowley. And many people say, oh, that's the Illuminati. They sacrifice people. It's not the Illuminati. It's not the Illuminati. Because you don't even know what the Illuminati is. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't even know exactly what that is. And I'm not going, I'll do a video on the Illuminati, understanding exactly what the Illuminati is. But that's not what these entertainers are dealing with. It's not exactly the secret society of the Illuminati. It's another school of the occult that they're dealing with when they deal in blood sacrifice. It is not the Illuminati. I repeat that again. There are not any entertainers in the Illuminati, because they're not even intelligent enough to be in the Illuminati anyway. Most entertainers are slaves. I mean, I've just got to keep it real. They're not in the Illuminati. Stop giving them that. That's kind of like a compliment almost. And you might not understand why I'm saying this, but you'll understand one day. So, Aleister Crowley is responsible for a lot of your blood sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. So Aleister Crowley's behind that or whatever, as far as that school, introducing that school or whatever. Now, this was something that was already being done before him. I'm not saying that he invented this, so I don't want people to go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. I already explained to you that they was doing it in the Mayan civilization, and a lot of cultures dealt with blood sacrifice. I've already explained that to you. But what I'm saying is that in your modern day, when you deal with entertainers, Aleister Crowley is responsible for that. Why? Because a lot of these entertainers are initiated in schools and initiates in schools that Aleister Crowley either influenced or that he set up himself. And I'm not going to go into these schools here, but I'll just say this, just to point out something. The person that started Scientology, so you got a lot of entertainers that deal with Scientology. A lot of entertainers. You know, I'm not going to name no names. I could. I almost did, but I'm not. But you got a lot of entertainers that deal in Scientology that are affiliated with Scientology. And Aleister Crowley's behind Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard was a student of Aleister Crowley. So you got to remember that. See, people they don't do their research. They just go out here and get in stuff and don't know what's going on. So this is why, and it's even more schools that Aleister Crowley influenced that these entertainers are directly connected to. I'm not going to go into those here. But so yeah, he came up with the new concept of blood sacrifice that a lot of these entertainers are getting into now in our modern day, in the 19th century, and even in this new millennium. See, Aleister Crowley is really one of the most powerful magicians when it comes to European culture in this day and time or whatever. He's really revered as one of the most powerful magicians. And he talks about blood sacrifice and why you do these things. He deals with sexual magic and sexual arts. So this is why your entertainers are into this type of stuff, and you wonder why are they like on this lower level type of stuff. It's because of Aleister Crowley. And they're working, they form pacts with these different deities, and these deities get them success with a price. With a price. And deities are intelligent. So did a particular artist, I'm not going to name anybody's name, go into it and sign a record deal and decide, I'm going to have my mom sacrificed by signing this record deal, so I, so-and-so, sign off on this contract and my mom will be sacrificed? No, it didn't happen like that. They just formed a pact and allegiance with a certain entity, and I don't know if they're being informed as to whether or not what they're getting themselves into, and you know what I'm saying, and knowing that somebody might turn up there or not. But what I do know is that they know that they're signing a contract dealing in blood. I do know that. And I do know once they want to go to a higher level, they do have to make an offering. Now, they may not know which ancestor or which relative is going to be murdered or whatever is going on with these ritual sacrifices, but they do have to definitely form a pact with a certain entity. What I tend to believe, based on my knowledge of the occult, is that entities are very intelligent, believe it or not. They're very intelligent, and when you form an alliance with an entity, this is what, like, most people, like in Christians, they call it devil worship. And they say you play with the Ouija board, you're inviting them in. Once you invite them in, then they can do whatever they want to do in your life or whatever. That's partially true, depending on your knowledge of the occult. But what I will say is that most people are coming from a Christian background, and when they get into this, like I'm talking about these entertainers, they come from a Christian background, they're Christianized. So when they get into it, you start dealing with these dark, powerful occult forces, you know what I'm saying, you got to really know what you're doing. You got to really know what you're doing, because you're forming a pact and alliance with them, and if you don't give them what they want, then yeah, somebody in your family might turn up dead, and they're intelligent. And whoever's energy matches the vibration, that's what they're going to come for. Whoever in your family's energy matches the vibration of that entity and they want that blood, they're going to come and get that. And it's really usually based on fear most of the time. But whoever's dealing in fear on that level of fear and their energy matches that vibration, that's who they're going to come for. So that's really like the whole game behind the whole blood sacrifice thing. I mean, it's all about energy, offering up energy to certain entities. I mean, the Mayans did it. The Mayans would offer up virgins to the gods, you know what I'm saying, in exchange for whatever. And even back in the days, like, it was so deep back in the days, like, when the Mayans and the Dogons and them was doing it, they felt like the victim actually felt like it was a privilege to be the one chosen to be offered up and sacrificed to these entities. They felt like it was a privilege and they were going to reign in the afterlife and all of this and all of that. Now, it's a lot to that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's some truth to that, because a lot of times when they offered them up and they sacrificed them, this person that was sacrificed became an immortal on the fourth dimension. And basically what that means is that they became an immortal on the fourth dimension, meaning that they were a god and they could assist the person that offered them up on the third dimension, and basically they could tell them about things before they happened, and they acted as their daemon or their deity, meaning that they can inform them. Like, you can consult, kind of like consulting your ancestors or whatever. So like, yeah, you sacrifice an ancestor up, you know what I'm saying, into, I mean, or a relative up into the fourth dimension or whatever, but then now this relative is there and they can talk to you and consult you, and they act as an intermediary for you. So your ancestors, that's what they talk about, the concept. This is like ancestral worship. People don't really realize, like, blood sacrifice is linked into ancestral worship. So really, the way they look at it, and I know a lot of you Christians are scared to death right now because you're like, this is sick, I can't listen to this or whatever. So if this is too much for you, just don't watch it. But I'm telling you, this is what they believe or whatever. This is what is going down when it comes to the occult. So the way they look at it is those ancestors that are offered up into that next dimension are there to assist them, and they act as their guides, and they're immortal, so they can guide them and help them here on this third dimension. They can call them up anytime to get advice and to get consultation. So it's deep. Like, it's a lot of reasons why they do blood sacrifice or whatever. And what happened is that in the Jewish school, they adopted this concept of blood sacrifice in the school of Judaism. It's right in the Bible, actually. They deal in blood sacrifice even in the Masonic Lodge. I mean, I'm not going to go deep into that, but it's right in your Bible where a particular, I think it was Ada, I believe it was a particular daughter of a particular guy that fought a war, and he had to offer up him, based on him winning this war, he was dealing with a deity similar to Ogun, a warrior type of deity. The deity promised he would win this war, but he had to offer up his virgin daughter after the war was over. He offered up his daughter. It's a particular figure in the Bible, and I talked about this in another one of my videos, but it's a particular figure in the Bible that did this, that offered up one of his relatives. So, his daughter, a virgin daughter, and they like pure blood. So that's why it was virgin, because the purer the blood is, the more energy is harnessed. So they like to sacrifice pure people. The more pure they are, the more of a target they will be to get sacrificed, because they need that pure energy. Because if you sacrifice somebody pure, it creates a tremendous energy that can be pulled on by the vampires. And this society is ran by vampires. This capitalism is fueled by vampires and people that work and form pacts with highly energetic beings. I'll put it that way. Darker, highly energetic beings. So the last part of this I'll talk about is that when you really get deep into the occult, and this is for those of you out there that are dealing in blood sacrifice that's watching this video, because I know you guys are out there. There's people that's dealing in blood sacrifice, y'all. Y'all need to be careful. You know what I'm saying? You might have people in your family dealing with blood sacrifice. But for those of you that are dealing in blood sacrifice, and I understand it, and I don't fear it at all. You know what I'm saying? So I'm speaking from a occultist standpoint. Those of you that are dealing in blood sacrifice need to know this, though. If you get deep into the occult and stop focusing on one system, and you locked into like ancestral worship, and you locked into strictly the Ifa thing, or you know what I'm saying, you locked into strictly the voodoo thing or whatever, and you just totally locked into that, you need to really open up your horizons and understand that there's other ways to pull on and draw energy, so that when you work with those darker entities, you can give them that energy within yourself. You don't need to kill anybody, because there's ways that you can create a tremendous amount of energy and harness that energy into your aura and into your being, And you can take in exchange, offer that energy up to this darker entity that may help you to do. When I say darker, see, we don't deal in good and bad in the occult. So when I say darker, don't look at it like it's like something evil, because really this is all a game. You got to remember that life is, third dimension is a game. And I'm going to say something about that in a minute. So you give this energy over to this darker entity that you've harnessed in your aura based on solar rituals that you may have been doing. So you guys don't get into astrology, so you learn how to harness energy through your aura from solar rituals. So then when you in exchange, you want this darker entity to help you win a war or something. So the darker entities, they deal with like a lot of mundane material stuff. That's why they use them so much. People that want power, like I'm talking about like power. I ain't talking about like just some regular. I'm talking about like you want to rule over like Adolf Hitler type of cats. You know what I'm saying? You want to rule over a whole group and a nation of people. You're gonna make a pact with a darker entity if you really want to like take over a nation or something. These are the type of like entities, like that's why most of you guys can't understand this, because you guys aren't really trying to get power like that. You guys are just happy working a 9-to-5 job or whatever. You're not trying to get power, but those people that's trying to like rule over a whole nation or rule the world, like, you know what I'm saying, like they talk about the so-called Illuminati or these secret societies that you've confused with the Illuminati. These people make pacts with very powerful dark entities. Powerful entities, because they're looking for that power that only that entity can provide them, so that they can go ahead and take over a whole bunch of people. So they're not just trying to like, they're not playing, man. These people are for real. Like, they're not playing. They're trying to rule the world. They are ruling the world with these darker entities. So that's why they use them. So you wonder like, why would people want to deal with it? This is crazy. Well, why do you think people control? Why do you think people end up ruling the world and controlling the world? Why do you think Adolf Hitler did what he did? You know, Genghis Khan, different people. You don't know what kind of deities they was working with, what kind of rituals they was doing. So this is something that people need to understand or whatever, as far as dealing with these sort of deities and these kind of deities. It's a reason why they are doing these things. And it's like people that like amass millions of dollars, they got to work with like you ever think about how hard it is to really make $1 million in this world? And like if you're just a normal person, you're not doing no rituals, what you're going to find out is most millionaires, and I have a lot of people I know that are millionaires, and people just, you know, I've met people in my circle, some of them that I contact on a regular basis that are millionaires. And I'll tell you this, most of them, I can't think of one of them that's not in the occult. And then when I'm talking about like a self-made millionaire, somebody that became a millionaire in this life, and they came from like being poor. Now, there are millionaires that people that were born into certain families that got inherited wealth and became millionaires. They might not necessarily be into the occult. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about like people that became self-made millionaires, and most of them got into the occult. You don't see too many religious people. Just think about this now. You don't see too many religious people get into becoming a millionaire if they don't have some type of occult knowledge. And the reason why that is because it takes a lot of power to attract and harness $1 million. And money is energy. And when you start talking about being a millionaire, I'm not talking about making $1 million in your lifetime. I'm talking about attracting $1 million at once, or attracting $1 million in a year. It takes a lot of power to do that. And this is why they work with those powerful type of deities, those darker deities. And this is why like people that are into this conscious movement, you like, I'm doing my rituals and my money rituals and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You're wondering why you're not getting that big money. Is because you're not working with these darker entities. And so they trick them and they make them feel like, cause they don't really know about the occult in depth though. So these people may do a blood sacrifice or something to get that money, because they want to get that $1 million so that they can like get their family names to the next level. So they figure like the sacrifice is like this. It's like the ends justify the means. This is called the Machiavellian mentality. They have a Machiavellian mentality, which means that the ends justify the means to them. So this is how they think. This is how powerful people think. So those of you talking about you're going to go against these rulers, you need to know what they're really dealing with. This is what they're really dealing with. And it's like, and it's a reason for it. It serves a purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm offering you biased information, not for or against it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just offering you. I'm not going to tell you personally what I'm doing. It's not about me. It's about the information, just to let you know what's going on out there. So don't attack me. You know what I'm saying? Don't attack me and try to say that, oh, you're doing this. No, I didn't never say I was doing nothing. Just to make that for the record. I never said I was doing nothing. Like me, myself personally, Imhotep. But yeah, so it's entities out there, man, that or people out there that are doing these sacrifices or whatever because they want this power, this major money, like I said, control over people, world rulers, control over vast amounts of resources and countries and things like that. And they have to do like massive rituals to get this. So that's why they're working with darker deities. And my point I was making is like many of you are wondering, while like you're in an occult. I mean, you're dealing with the occult supposedly, and you might be dealing with some Egyptian type of deities and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? You wonder why you're not really getting the type of success that you really want. And then, like you might want $1 million. You wonder why you can't really attract that type of money or whatever. And I'm not saying this is the only way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really deep. Like, this is just part one to this. But I'm not saying that this is the only way to make $1 million if you have to do a blood sacrifice. Understand what I'm saying. Understand what I'm saying now. You have to form alliances with very powerful entities if you want to make a lot of money, because everything in this world that you want to gain requires a sacrifice anyway. So that's the whole concept of sacrifice. Anytime you want to gain something, you have to lose something to gain it. If you want to lose weight and gain a very beautiful body, you have to sacrifice eating. It's the same way with anything else in this matrix, because we live in a duality type of universe. So if you want $1 million, you gotta put in some work. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what it comes down to. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, repeat again, I'm not saying that's the only way to make $1 million. I'm not saying that. But I want you to think that I'm just up here basically saying that, oh, everybody that's out here that's millionaires did a blood sacrifice. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is this. You don't even have to do. So you wonder why your rituals aren't working is because you're not forming alliances with those particular deities. Those darker deities that really are harnessing a lot of lunar energy. These are really like a lot of lunar deities. See, most of you deal with solar deities, believe it or not. Most of your deities are solar deities anyway. I'm talking about lunar deities, and most of you, even if you deal with the Sumerian deities, you only deal with these popular Ishtar and all of these type of deities. But there's way more other deities that people don't know about because they don't go deep into the systems of magic or whatever and things like that, and alchemy. But you have to learn how to work with darker entities if you want to achieve bigger goals. That's basically what I'm saying. And you don't have to, I'll say this, I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. You don't have to do a blood sacrifice to even work with these deities. You can learn how to harness this energy into your aura, like I said, and then in turn, you make your offering to that particular entity. You know what I'm saying? In exchange for the energy that you've harnessed in your aura, so you learn how to work with other deities on the solar tip and muster up enough energy so that when you go do your dark rituals, you know what I'm saying, you'll be able to harness that energy or whatever from those darker entities or those dark matter entities to help you. You know what I'm saying? That's how you basically do it. So that's basically how it works. I hope this helps. Like I said, I mean, I just want to kind of like emphasize everything. You don't have to do a blood sacrifice to make $1 million. You don't have to do a blood sacrifice to make $1 million. You just have to harness enough energy. If you want to deal with darker entities, you have to harness enough energy. And I'm not going to go into dealing with darker entities here or anything like that, because this is not for that video. It's just to help you understand blood sacrifice. But those people, I'm saying this for people that are listening to this video that do know about blood sacrifice and know what I'm talking about. If you want to harness enough energy, I mean, you have to harness enough energy to offer it up and over to these darker, powerful entities that won't only be attracted to a powerful, exuberant amount of energy. Now, people may ask me a question. This is for people that know about blood sacrifice. So what about the fact that, like, what if they, like, turn on you or something like that? Like, how do you control them from turning on you because they're so, like, they might kill you. They might kill you because, like, you got to always constantly have energy to give them so that they won't turn in on you, because you know powerful entities that I'm talking about here, they don't like humans. They don't care. They don't have no conscience now. So I was just warning people on that. So they will turn in. They need energy, and you made a pact with them. So you invited them into your life. So if you start seeing people turn up dead and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Know that it's something that you invited into your life. So if you want to stop this, for one thing, you have to keep an exuberant amount of energy in your aura so that if you constantly are working with them, you always have energy to give them. And if you don't know how to do certain rituals to get this outside of killing people, because, I mean, I deal with a higher school or whatever, like as far as attracting energy. Like I deal with this school called the vampire school or whatever, which is something that I know about. And I'm not going to go into that here, but you don't have to, and when I'm talking about vampire school, I'm not talking about murdering people or anything that has nothing to do with blood. See, people don't understand where the concept of vampires came from. The concept of vampires came from the concept of the Jedi in Star Wars. And the concept of the Jedi was actually an order that was in ancient Egypt. That's where they got the concept of the Jedi from, or the third eye or Jedi. So if you're doing in this higher school, see, they didn't teach this to like lower initiates, but see, Kemet got different levels to it. And if you're dealing with the concept of the Jedi, which was taught up under the magician Tahuti, he never feared the darker entities or whatever, because he knew how to harness energy. He had to kill anybody to get what he got, because he knew how to use his energy within his own aura and offer it up to these darker entities in exchange for whatever. He was the most powerful magician. Tahuti was. And this is where the Jedi studied up under Tahuti. So you don't have to offer up babies, children, offer up any blood to work with these entities. They just like energy. And it's the energy in the blood is the reason why people are doing blood sacrifices, because blood has energy in it. So just to help you to understand that. So to stop them from turning on you, and I'll say this and I'll shut this video down. To stop them from turning on you, either close the portal off, don't work with them anymore. If you want to continue to work with them, you have to continue to attract energy into your aura at all times. You have to continue to store energy, prana, chi, energy. You have to continue to do this. And there's higher ways. I know I talked about storing energy through sex. There's even higher ways to get energy. I didn't go into all of that. But you have to learn how to attract enough energy into your aura so that you can constantly keep working with them. As long as they eat, it's like you feed them. They feed off of energy, the darker entities. They feed off of energy. So as long as they're eating, nobody's going to turn up dead in your circle or your cipher. You know what I'm saying? It's only when you don't work your magic right. They first can turn in on you too, and they can drive you crazy. That's why a lot of magicians like Aleister Crowley and different people ended up going crazy, because they didn't really know what they was doing. These people they were eating meats and stuff, a lot of them, calling themselves magicians. See, if you're talking about you deep into the occult, diet is the #1 thing, man. Like, it's deeper stuff than that, but if you can't even get your diet right, this isn't for you. Because they will psychologically can turn in on you and make you go crazy and destroy your mind, because they feed off of energy, and they'll keep taking energy from you, and then when you run out of life force energy, now they go into your psychic energy, then eventually they tap into your health. Now you got a disease. The next thing you know, people start turning up dead around you. All of that type of stuff, because they keep feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding. So either close the portal off if you don't know how to do that. You need to get somebody to do. If you shouldn't have dealt, if you had a Babalao do this for you, you should have thought about that. Maybe you need to speak to your Babalao, ask them if they can close the portal off. And basically you don't want to deal with it anymore, and there's ways to close the portal off. There's definitely ways. If the Babalao doesn't know, you need to travel around and figure out somebody that does. Or you continue to give them energy through your aura. That's the only two ways to stop darker entities from disrupting your life. So I hope this video helped on blood sacrifice. Hope I didn't scare too many people. Until we meet again, I'll leave you in peace.